Hey everybody, welcome back to Movies Nat. I'm your host Cody, and today we're going to go through my history with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So if you know a little bit about me by now, my two favorite horror franchises are Halloween and Friday the 13th. The next one I really watched and got into after that was Scream, and Nightmare on Elm Street I really never cared for the longest time. My first ever, viewing experience of Freddy Krueger, at least, was Freddy vs. Jason. So it's not really a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I mean, it is, but it isn't in a sense. But that was it. Whenever that movie came out, that was kind of my first experience and exposure to Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street. The next time I ever saw anything Nightmare on Elm Street after that, so that was back in 2003. I remember seeing New Nightmare on TV. Yeah, New Nightmare of all of them. And I can't remember if it was on Fear Fest or if it was just on, but it was on TV. It was New Nightmare. And I remember, because I was still younger, but I remember being a little freaked out by it. Like Freddy Krueger in that movie is definitely creepy, and I didn't really understand really all of Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger to begin with anyways, besides what I've seen with Freddy vs. Jason. So seeing him in New Nightmare, especially with the little kid and just the way he looks and just everything there, I kind of still, that didn't really make me a fan or really get me interested into becoming hyper obsessed with those movies like I became with Halloween and Friday the 13th and even Scream. So after that, I don't think I watched Nightmare on Elm Street or Freddy Krueger outside of Freddy vs. Jason for a good, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years. And the only thing that got me, well, there's two reasons. So the first reason was, of course, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake that came out. So I did watch that. I didn't see it in theaters. I ended up watching it on, renting on demand. I actually have done that a few times with horror movies that for the first time seeing them. And I remember not really liking it because I just thought Freddy Krueger looked way too weird, and I thought the CGI was not good, and I just overall wasn't a fan of that movie. However, that did get me a bit interested in Nightmare on Elm Street. So I went ahead and watched the first one after that. And not going to lie to you, I was actually a little creeped out by it. There's something about that first one, the way Freddy looks and how he acts, also the score and the little kind of, I don't want to say sound effects, but the kind of like the chimes of when Freddy would appear out of nowhere and kind of jump scares. I don't know, it did scare me a little bit. And I liked it miles ahead of the remake. But again, even with that, it still didn't get me obsessed enough to go out and buy Nightmare on Elm Street, look at Part 2, Dream Warriors, 4, 5, and so on. And it could have been just because I may have grown out of that just a little bit, becoming a teenager and whatnot, different things going on, different interests. That definitely could have been it. But yeah, that was it. So saw the remake. After that, saw the first one for the first time, and that was it. The next one I remember watching was, I think, 2013. Yeah, 2013 on AMC's Fear Fest. It was Freddy's Dead. Yeah, Freddy's Dead. I don't like that movie. A lot of people don't like that movie for good reason. But back then when I first saw it, I actually had a good time with it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was, of course, it's cheesy. I liked the goofy stuff that they were doing with Freddy. And at the time, I really didn't care. I just thought it was a good, fun movie. But that quickly changed once I went through the rest of the franchise, which did not happen until 2018 when I got my first box set for Nightmare on Elm Street. Because I was starting to get to the point where I was getting back into really just getting obsessed with horror movies and watching as many as I could and completing collections and all that. So with the Nightmare on Elm Street, I went ahead and picked it up, and over 3 days I watched all 7 of them, because I did watch New Nightmare with it as well. And I became a pretty big fan. So Nightmare on Elm Street, that is the movie I always kick off October with. So I always like to watch a horror movie every day in October as long as I can, right? And Nightmare on Elm Street is the franchise that I kick it off with. So ended up watching the first one, watched the second one for the first time, and I remember liking it, but that movie has grown on me. It's actually one of my favorite ones now. But back, I remember when I first watched it, I didn't really care for it. I don't know if it was because of Jess. I don't know. I don't know if Jesse just, the whole plot point with Freddy taking him over, and I don't know. It was a little weird and whatnot. But also, I think maybe what altered that for me was I was really looking forward to Dream Warriors, because everybody who talks about Nightmare on Elm Street, everybody who always goes through Nightmare on Elm Street, always hypes up Dream Warriors. It's always like the best after the first, or it's always their favorite. So I was just really excited to get to that. When I got to that, I had the same experience as a lot of other people. I loved Dream Warriors, and I put that right after the first one in my ranking. And I even rewatched it multiple times after like the initial run through I did with the franchise. I remember probably watching it maybe 2 more times after that, because I just had such a good time with it. I really did like the whole plot, all the characters, the Dream Warriors with their dream powers and taking on Freddy that way, and bringing back some old characters like Nancy's dad and all that. So I thought it was a good movie, and I still love it. It's still my top 3. I kind of go back and forth between 3 and 2. I do it nowadays. But yeah. So then after that, of course, it's 4. And I really like 4 too. Still do. It's definitely the more flashier one. You can tell it's definitely a product of its time in the late 80s there. But yeah, definitely not as scary. The Freddy wasn't as scary as 3 and 2 and 1, that's for sure. You could tell that shift was changing. But I liked it. And then came Part 5. So Part 5 was actually one I never even, I don't think, had any exposure to. Like, I knew of Dream Master, I knew of Forks, I knew of, Freddy putting on his sunglasses, the pizza, Kristen on the beach. Like, I remember seeing that, seeing clips of that, whatnot, growing up. But Part 5 I knew nothing about. The only thing I knew about it was the cover art, because I remember seeing that cover art in the video store, and I'd always be scared of it because it's like the carriage and it like just looks scary. But that was it. So I was pretty excited to watch that, and I ended up being pretty disappointed in it. The more that I watch it, I was going to the intention to try to pick something up to make me like that movie, or at least kind of get me excited to rewatch it. I still have yet to found that. I just remember seeing it back then and being excited to watch it, and then just gradually as that movie went on, everything kind of going downhill for me. And I was happy when it ended, and it just got way too like Looney Toony at the end for me as well. It's just I understand what they were trying to go for, and they definitely rushed that movie into production, but it is what it is. Definitely not one of my favorites. And then, of course, that brings us back into Freddy's Dead. So another one. I didn't see that movie since the first time I watched it in 2013 on Fear Fest. So I was putting on that movie, excited to watch it again, and then quickly kind of realized, like, I see why a lot of people do not like this movie and rank it as the worst, because it definitely is. From the characters to the acting to the plot to Freddy, just not good. Not good. I can see, back in the day, having a good time and having fun with it, because, to be honest, if you go into that movie just wanting a completely non-serious Nightmare on Elm Street movie, a fun Freddy Krueger, that's the one for you. watch it, because that's exactly what you're going to get here. But whenever I watch Nightmare on Elm Street, I don't want that. I do know, like, the hearing aid kill and all that. That's my favorite, I don't want to say part, but that's like my favorite kill scene of that movie. And it kind of just brings back the classic Freddy kills that we used to get. But other than that, that was it. Hate the video game, Freddy now. Liked it back then, hate it now. And then New Nightmare. So New Nightmare was one I only had bits and pieces in my memory of, because I watched it after Freddy vs. Jason. It was on TV, really didn't pay too much attention to it, thought it was scary. And I like the direction that Wes Craven took that movie. I thought it was creative for the time, definitely set the stage for what he did in Scream, but it was a great way to reintroduce Freddy Krueger, to kind of revive the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and I think they did a great job with it. It's cool seeing the actors and actresses playing their real life selves, that eventually turns into them playing who they were in A Nightmare on Elm Street. And also some callbacks to the kills that happened in the previous Nightmares. That's cool. Freddy being like this, real life demon entity, that gets pulled into the real world because of all the buzz and hype and whatnot around Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street in general. So it just triggers him to come into real life. So I thought that was awesome, and I always get excited to watch that each year when I get to it. I do like it. It's kind of mid of the road for me in terms of my ranking for this franchise, but at the end of the day, solid entry, and I really like what they did there with it. Now that brings us, of course, to Freddy vs. Jason. I've talked about this in my Friday the 13th video, as long as with my other rankings. I love Freddy vs. Jason. It is one hell of a good time. Two titans going at it. And that was my first exposure to Freddy Krueger. And I remember going down the rabbit hole with Freddy Krueger, but then I also remembered, I didn't become obsessed with it. I didn't want to really explore more. I just thought he was a little too scary, a little too creepy. Didn't want to deal with all the, nightmares that might come with it, so I didn't want to deal with that. But I love Freddy vs. Jason, and, Robert Englund kicked ass in that, and that was his first role since New Nightmare for Freddy Krueger. And, what else can you say about it? Awesome time, and Freddy vs. Jason was one that I looked forward to for months before it came out. It was everywhere, all over the internet, all over stores, you name it. And then that brings us to the remake, which I talked about at the beginning, because that was the third Nightmare on Elm Street movie that I ever saw, and just didn't like it. Still don't like it to this day. They could have done so much better with that, in my opinion, but unfortunately, it is what it is with that. But other than that, guys, that is it. That's my history with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I'm going to continue to do these. I got some more coming up, like Hellraiser, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a few others in here that I'll get to. But hope you guys enjoy this. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.